How do maple trees make sap? They accumulate starch during their growing season. With the spring thaw, enzymes transform the starch into sugar. When the trees absorb water through their roots, it mixes with that sugar to make sap. Long before the white man came to North America, the native Indians revered the maple tree. In early spring, they'd pierce its trunk with a tomahawk, then place a wood chip under the hole to channel the sap into a bark container. Then they boiled the sap over a fire in clay pots. The Indians introduced maple syrup to the European settlers. Today, most producers use tubing instead of sap buckets. No more trudging through the snow from tree to tree. The time to collect sap is in the early spring, when the maple trees are still dormant and when the temperature hits 3 or 4 degrees above freezing. The freeze and thaw cycle alters the pressure inside the tree and starts the sap flowing. The first step is to tap the trees. They drill a hole 1 centimeter in diameter, 5 centimeters deep. Then gently insert a spout made of metal or plastic. It's important not to damage the bark. That not only harms the tree, but also lets air in the sap, which ruins the flavor. You don't see too many sap buckets around anymore. Today, sap is pumped through polyethylene tubes to larger collector tubes. Then into the pumping station. Sap is 97.5% water and only 2.5% sugar, so to transform the sap to syrup, they have to boil it down. It takes 40 liters of sap to make just 1 liter of syrup. When the tank fills up, the sap is automatically pumped to the sugar house into a stainless steel tank. The more advanced producers use a specialized machine that partially concentrates the sap by reverse osmosis. This more than triples the sap's natural sugar level and means they'll have less boiling to do. From there, the sap flows to the evaporator. They heat the sap to the boiling point and keep it boiling however long it takes to evaporate 66% of the water. If the water evaporates too slowly or too quickly, that'll adversely affect the color, flavor, and texture of the syrup. However, and here's where expertise is everything, there's no set cooking time. Experienced maple sugar producers can tell when it's ready just by looking at it. They test the sugar level using a device called a hydrotherm. When the syrup is just right, they run it through a pressure filter to remove calcium residues and other impurities. They store the syrup in steam-cleaned barrels. The lab at the central warehouse tests a sample from each drum. Using sophisticated instruments, technicians classify the color from dark to extra light. They also assess the quality. Lower grade syrup is for industrial use, higher grade for the retail market. They pasteurize this syrup, then put it into huge stainless steel storage tanks. The tanks are vacuum sealed with a nitrogen barrier to preserve the flavor and color and to prevent fermentation. It also keeps the syrup from crystallizing. The lab then uses an instrument called an atomic absorption spectrophotometer to analyze the syrup's mineral content, making sure it meets market standards. Next, they warm the syrup in stainless steel heaters and run it through industrial-size filters. This step ensures the syrup will be perfectly clear. Then, just before bottling, they heat the syrup again, this time to 82 degrees Celsius. This not only sterilizes the bottles, but also guarantees the syrup will have a 4-year shelf life. Maple syrup is high in sugar but has somewhat fewer calories than honey or brown sugar. It's 100% pure and natural, and it's a good source of 3 essential nutrients: calcium, potassium, and magnesium.